All right, week 2 college football breakdown here. Obviously, nice little battle here in the Lone Star State. We got U of H from the American Conference coming off a huge 3 overtime win at UTSA, heading to Lubbock. Tough place to play to take on the Red Raiders. Actually seeing this line move towards Texas Tech at home. I was seeing 2.5s earlier in the week. This line's all the way up to Texas Tech minus 3.5. This total's been steamed down a little bit, down to 63.5. And that's kind of where I want to start. The perception around each of these teams historically, I mean, think about all the high power offenses U of H has had with Case Keenum, obviously like 30 years ago with Andre Ward and all those guys. And then Texas Tech has obviously been, their brand is definitely more so offense heavy. And I think it's actually heading back that way with this kind of new coaching staff they have. But, I somewhat agree with that move, towards the under. I was actually more so looking at the first half under just because there are a lot of moving parts on both sides. We'll go ahead and get into the matchup here, though. Houston is a team that obviously they went 12-2 last year. They actually lost the opener in Houston to Texas Tech, basically ran the table until the American Conference title game, lost to Cincinnati, but they beat Auburn in the bowl game. It was a good year. I'm not as high on Houston for really one reason, or maybe two reasons. They're not very good on their offensive line. I think they're really weak up front against the run, and then they're suspect in pass blocking as well. But this team just can't run the football. They lost their number one running back in the preseason, Alton McCaskill, to a season-ending injury. I mean, some of the guys they're running out there with like Tayzon Henry, Brandon Campbell. I mean, these guys aren't high-quality backs. So, and I think we saw that last week in UTSA. A lot is being put on Clayton Tune's shoulders. And, Clayton Tune is now a pretty experienced player. I still think he's slightly overrated. I just don't think he's as explosive of a downfield thrower as some make him out to be, but he's got a good wide receiving core. I get that, but I'm kind of at the point betting football now where if you're not good up front, if you don't have some level of balance, it's going to be hard for me to be on you. So that's kind of where I'm at with Houston right now. I also think that kind of sets up poorly going up against Texas Tech. Obviously, a first-year coaching staff, like a lot of first-year staffs, kind of had to load up in the portal to kind of fill some holes, but they are good in their front four. I think their front four defensively is assuredly the strength of that unit. Where I'm kind of torn is Texas Tech's secondary is extremely unproven. They're extremely young. Head coach Joey McGuire has expressed confidence in this group, but I actually think this might be a matchup where Clayton Tune and just kind of Houston's overall lack of balance and lack of just true efficiency offensively, they might be able to get away with it in this matchup as long as they can just hold up somewhat okay up front. Texas Tech, on the other hand, a lot of moving parts with their offense. Their starting quarterback, Tyler Shuck, went down in game 1 to an injury. It's not going to be too long-term, it doesn't look like, but he's not going to play in this game. Thankfully, they got some depth there. Donovan Smith is the guy that played the majority of the second half of last season. He actually played pretty well. The issue with Smith now coming into this offense is this is a totally new offensive scheme that Zach Kitley has brought in. If you don't know who Zach Kitley is, you're going to know pretty soon. Came over from Western Kentucky. Bailey Zappi, his quarterback, set the single season passing record for yards at Western Kentucky last year. I think calling the scheme the air raid is kind of a slap in the face. It's the most aggressive passing offense, passing scheme in the country. So I don't necessarily think Donovan Smith is a guy that's built to run that system. And so there's kind of a disconnect. And I think only time is going to be able to tell. Houston might be kind of weak on their offensive line, but their front four defensively, a lot like Texas Tech, is absolutely their strength as well. Texas Tech got off to a good start on their offensive line, but they're playing Murray State. This is their first real challenge. I actually would give Houston's defense the edge there. Safe to say that each of these defenses has enough going for them that I actually do agree with that slight shift towards the under that we've seen in the market. But I ended up laying off because I've watched enough Zach Kitley games. I was involved in enough Western Kentucky games last year that if he truly does run that style that he ran there, that is not an under type of coach. So I ended up holding off of this game. I've actually already released my best bets here for week 2. Got those out this morning here on Wednesday. I'm looking to have the rest of my card out by Thursday. The main place you can follow me is on Twitter at Fordham Betting. I'll also leave all of my own other information in the description below. One more thing too, head over to proud90.com. They got all your golf apparel needs. You see this shirt right here. I know you've been staring at it the whole time. Head over to proud90.com, code Fordham at checkout. It's going to get you 15% off your order. All the other information will be in the description. Appreciate y'all watching the video. Should be a great battle here in the Lone Star State. At the end of the day, I wouldn't want my money anywhere near this game.